What's up, nail geeks, and welcome back to another little box of horrors video. This month we have the theme Maker's Choice. So we have inspirations from all over the place, from cartoons to movies to gardens. We've got all of it here. I am getting this video out quite late, quite tardy. I do apologize about that. July was just bananas, and I will explain more later in another video, but I had a little bit of an allergy breakout on my fingers again, and it just threw everything off with PPE and all that. So anyways, I'm here. We do have one more day of the sale, so I'm going to quit yammering and let's dive into the swatches. First up is Cracked Polish Swamp Sample. This is described as a Prugly loaded with shimmer. This one's inspired by Pruglies. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 200 bottles. This has that ultra smooth formula that I am beginning to full-blown associate with this brand. Excellent smooth coverage here. I'm going to suggest going up to 3 coats as it applies. It's very similar to a true jelly formula, although I do think some of you may want to stop at 2 coats if you want that lighter type of Prugly base color. Otherwise, 3 coats is what I personally would recommend to deepen out that colored base. This will dry down flat. Use a good glossy top coat. Danglefoot brings us 2 polishes this month. First one is Hall of Heads, described as a sheer white with blue shimmer and red, orange, bronze multichrome flakes. This is inspired by Return to Oz. Price is $13.50 and there's a cap of 75 bottles. Hall of Heads has a kind of standard type of feel to the formula. It's not terribly squishy or anything, especially for being a shimmer bomb. So I'm going to suggest 2 coats, 2 normal coats. No need to be mindful of any thickness or anything like that. Use a glossy top coat, and I didn't have any texture from those flakes. Danglefoot's second contribution is Not the Dip. This is a strong, large particle green to blue shimmer and a green jelly base with green reflective glitter. This one's inspired by Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Price is $13.50 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. Not the Dip has a beautiful formula to it. Very quick to hit opacity. I'm going to suggest going in for one somewhat lighter coat for your first coat, and then on the second layer, just go in normal. Don't be afraid to be somewhat heavy-handed. I personally was, and no issues there. You will need a glitter smoother with this. Hearts and Promises My Bloody Valentine is a deep red pink-based hollow with assorted flakes. This one's inspired by the movie Namesake. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 100 bottles. My Bloody Valentine has a very jelly type of formula to it, very standard in how it builds up. I'm going to suggest going up to 2 coats. I felt like the formula itself did have quite a bit of a bounce back to it, so I didn't want to have too much thickness on the nails in going up to a 3rd coat. I want to really highlight that the base to this is like 3 shades darker than what my camera was picking up. These types of berries tend to really skew on that, so I apologize about that. Jen & Barry's Alarming Attire is a Kelly green base with green shimmer that subtly shifts over to pink at extreme angles. This one's inspired after a terrible outfit that Buffy once wore from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Price is $13.25 and it's capped at 100 bottles. This is one intensely unique green. It's like swampy kind of, and it's just interesting in how the shimmer pops in it. I'm kind of shocked that this one is still in stock, to be honest. It is one of my top picks this month. 3 coats and a glossy top coat is all you need, and at the most extreme angles, I do agree, you'll see a touch of a pink peekaboo. Lemming Don't Look Under the Bed is a blue jelly base with starry silver holographic micro sparks and black to red micro flakes. This one's $13.50, capped at 100 bottles. And we have a very heavy type of jelly formula, which I've said over and over on the channel. It's pretty indicative to Lemming. It's like her signature type of formula, especially with how much shimmer she tends to put in these polishes. I chose to do 3 very thin coats. I wanted to see if I could build this up to 3 coats. I kind of did, but I will caution you, if you do this, go in so very light on your coats. Otherwise, you'll have over buildup and then you probably should have stopped at 2 coats. So just be mindful of that. It is a thicker type of formula and you need to save room for a glitter smoother. Lemming's Pyre Bride is a blackened deep red with fiery red to copper to gold shimmer. This one's $13.50, also capped at 100 bottles. Now we have a somewhat lighter jelly formula here. However, it does have the tendency to feel kind of viscous, if that makes sense, during those brush strokes. I think demonstrating here just how thin I'm going on each coat to be mindful of that gives you a good idea. So across the board with Lemming's contributions for this month, I would suggest maybe a few drops of thinner just to kind of smooth out the formula just a touch and kind of even out the shimmer bomb effectiveness, if you will. Pyre Bride was good for me between 2 to 3 coats. It's really going to depend on how you polish and the length of your nails. But again, I would just recommend going in very, very thin. How many times can I say that? Now, this will dry down really flat, so use a good glossy top coat. Lemming's Sin Drips Slow is a deep wine jelly base with scattered holographic microflakes and fuchsia to gold to orange iridescent flakes. This one's $13.50, also capped at $100. So kind of repeating myself with the same caveat from the previous two, this also has an incredibly dense, viscous, thicker type of jelly formula to it. Again, I would suggest maybe using a few drops of thinner. Please note, be careful of indie safe thinner only. The one I use is from KBShimmer, 10 out of 10, recommend that one. And always remember, if you're adding thinner to your polishes, you can always add in, but you cannot take out. This one's another one you'll also need a glitter smoother and glossy top coat. And then finally for Lemming, the Reflection Isn't Yours is a jelly type of base that is somewhat grapish in how that base color appears. It has a fine particle green shimmer and black flakes throughout. This one is probably the lightest in formula than the other 3 that I've showed you all so far. I chose to do 3 incredibly thin coats, but some of you may want to stop at 2 normal coats. Those black flakes, typical to what we've seen on the channel thus far, always give you some texture, so make sure you're using a glitter smoothing top coat and glossy top coat together. This is very true jelly-like in formula, so depending on whether you stop at 2 or 3 coats will drastically change how that base color looks. Night Owl Lacquer, I beat him already, is a burgundy base with glowy aqua blue indigo shimmer and holographic dust. This one's inspired by the creepy empty swimming pool scene in the Psych episode Tuesday the 17th. Price is $13 and there's no cap. I Beat Him Already has an excellent standard formula to it, very quick to hit opacity, and the blue shimmer in this is quite strong, very indicative to what you're seeing on my full hand shot and my photos. I will suggest 2 coats and a glossy top coat. Paradox Piranha is a blood orange and lake blue glitter mix with moss hearts. This one's inspired by the movie The Namesake. Price is $11 and there's no cap. This is a standard type of glitter topper. I had no issues getting the glitters out of the bottle, so it is perfectly suspended throughout that base. And you'll just want to kind of dab it on as the glitters will kind of stick to the base itself, which again, that's normal for toppers. Very, very user-friendly and not drying down too quickly. And I was able to just manipulate the glitters the way I want to. You will need a glitter smoother here too. And then Paradox's What's the Buzz is a yellow to white thermal with golden iridescent flake, black various shaped glitters. This one's $13 with no cap. The thermal to this, the warm state and the cold state, in the most drastic sense, you'll see it here in just a moment on the ice water shot. I think they're pretty close in their respective color palettes. The warm state I would describe as being a milky type of yellow tinged, and I warmed up my hands as much as I could here. So I think the ice water shot gives you a really good idea of what it looks like. I'm going to suggest 2 coats, a glitter smoother and a glossy top coat, as the flakes and little bar glitters will give you some texture. Ribbits and Stickets has 4 contributions for us this month. This first one is Courage, described as a bubblegum pink base with a mix of black and blue metallic flakes and an electric blue violet shimmer. This one's inspired by Courage the Cowardly Dog. Price is $13.50 and it's capped at 50 bottles. This has a very creamy, smooth formula. Excellent coverage here. I'm going to suggest 2 coats. It's self-leveled really well too, despite having flakes and whatnot, which in my experience tends to kind of disrupt any potential creaminess to the application itself, but no problems with that here. And if your top coat's on the thinner side, you may want to use a glitter smoother. Grim is a mixed glitter base of red micro glitter, black reflective glitter, and black to red micro flakes with a bright silver magnetic pigment. This one's inspired after the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Price is $13.50 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. This one is quite reactive on that magnetic effect. It's that larger particle silver that we see here and there. Very user-friendly if you wanted to kind of take a dive into the magnetic formulas here. I'm going to suggest between 2 to 3 coats, your preference, because I chose to do 3 coats. When I took my nails away from my lighting area and I just kind of looked at it in more dimmed lighting, I felt like on the parts where the magnetized pigment was not, where it was repelled from the magnet, I felt like I could kind of see through it on my falsies. So I chose to do 3 coats. I didn't feel like it was too much polish on the nail or anything. Just make sure you go in light if you do 3 or normal coats if you do 2, your preference. Mojo Jojo is a white curly polish with mix of blue, purple, yellow, and green neon glitter mix, black flakes, and a subtle blue to purple shimmer. This one's inspired by Powerpuff Girls. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. This is another creamy, smooth formula. It isn't what I would describe as being a stark white type of base. It's more of a dove gray type of off-white, and it's very soft and milky in how it builds up. So I chose to stop at 2 coats. And then lastly, we've got Scooby. Scooby is a chocolate brown shimmery base with crystal turquoise micro flakes and a touch of yellow shimmer. This one's inspired by, of course, Scooby-Doo. Price is $12.50 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. Scooby has a true jelly formula, though it is quite smooth and satisfying on those brush strokes. It builds up like a light chocolate milk type of color, in my opinion. So with that said, I think it will definitely play up against your skin tone, especially medium to deep tones. And I chose to do 3 light coats and a glossy top coat, and I'm good to go. I feel like if you have a prominent free edge and you stop at 2 coats, you might see a smile line. Victorian Varnish Plagues in Pocketbooks is a silvery blue magnetic with a gorgeous blue hued background with micro flakes ranging throughout the rainbow and hints of silver, green, and purple reflective glitter. This one's $13.50, capped at $150, and it's another very user-friendly magnetic. I had no issues getting that pigment to pull, and this is a very smooth, easy to apply formula. It builds up very quickly to opacity. I'm going to suggest 2 coats. Now it is quite thirsty, not necessarily I would classify as being textured, but it's one of those that I feel like kind of soaks up your top coat a little bit. So use a somewhat thicker, almost gel-like top coat or a glitter smoother underneath your top coat of choice if it's on the thinner side, of course. Wicked Polish has 3 contributions for us this month. This first one is Butterfly Garden, described as a cute topper with some fun summer glitters. This one's $13 and it's capped at $50. So taking this slow and steady in real time, you can see just how much glitter is packed in the bottle. Excellent suspension going on here, no need to fish or anything like that. And the types of glitters that are in this particular polish, I've seen it in a couple other Wicked polishes too. It is very sparkly and very like fine particle rainbow on the nail. So this is a fantastic topper if you're looking for some type of glittery topper. It doesn't dry down very gritty on the nail, but I would still suggest a thicker top coat to seal it up. Climbing Clematis is a green ivy jelly with holographic glitters and purple flakes. This one has the same price and cap as the previous one, and it's very true jelly-like in how it builds up. I chose to stop at 2 coats because those purple flakes there are quite chunky. They feel very heavy on the nail, and you'll want to make sure to kind of go in and evenly disperse them and manipulate it to get it nice and even across the nail. No issues getting those out of the bottle. I just had a couple of them stick to the neck when I was getting the brush out, and I just kind of dabbed those on. You'll 100% need a glitter smoother with this one. And last but not least, we've got Smell the Roses. This is a rosy holographic finish, and it's got a cap of $50 and the price is $13.50. Smell the Roses is what I would officially dub as a 1-coat wonder. This is a fantastic, dense, creamy, smooth formula. It is fantastic. Now the holographic effect almost gives a frosty appearance to the nail. I feel like it's going to be one of those that you may want to be mindful of your top coat of choice, as it might muddy it. I didn't have that with the top coat I'm using, which is KBShimmers, but I figure it was worth noting because I just felt like it had that suspicious frosty look to it, if that makes sense. And we're going to wrap this up with a Will It Topper segment. This is where I use a black swatch stick to demonstrate if polishes have layering capabilities. Cracked works pretty well over black. I can see it working over other neutral bases. Danglefoot Hall of Heads is fantastic over black. Be mindful it's quite milky. Not the Drip looks beautiful over black too, so both pass the test. Hearts and Promises, I'm kind of on the fence about this one because it was very jelly-like. The Gin and Berries is cool over black. I really liked it. I can't see it working much over anything else because it's so opaque. The Lemmings are all quite heavy formulas and they're very tinted, but showing them over black demonstrates how much flake and shimmer action is going on here. Personally, I would not topper any of these. It's just not worth it in my opinion. I think their base colors go really well with their shimmers. The Night Owl looks the bomb over black. I could see maybe matchy match undies working too. What's the Buzz is a thermal. It's yellow. I can't see anything else working unless you're doing maybe white. And then the Ribbits, I personally wouldn't recommend toppering any of these, even Grim. I just feel like they're all so opaque. Again, not a bad thing. Or in the case of Mojo, Jojo, and then Scooby and whatnot, those kind of have that cream looking appearance over black. So no point in that. The Victorian Varnish looks really cool over black. Maybe even you could do like blues, maybe even dark purples or indigos. And Climbing Clematis, personally, I would not. I don't see a point. And Smell the Roses, as you can see here, gorgeously opaque, too much so. The shop is open up for pre-order for one more day. You have until midnight on July 30th to grab your pretties. I'm going to link the shop below for you all if you want to get in there and check that out, as well as the Facebook group if you want to see spoilers, all that good stuff of the other polishes for the upcoming months and all that fun stuff. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.